Nashville Public Radio serves Middle Tennessee in many ways, every day, including through this podcast. You can support it by leaving a review or rating, by telling a friend about it, or by contributing at WPLN.org/give.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's January 22nd, 2026. On this day, in 1938, Thornton Wilder's classic play, Our Town, premiered in Princeton, New Jersey. It's the story of people in a small town experiencing life's major milestones. It's a classic, for good reason. It's both simple and deep, sweet in many ways, yet unflinching in its willingness to face difficult things. Along with love and community and people caring deeply for each other, there's a subplot about the damage an addiction causes as the people most affected try to ignore it. The last act grapples with untimely death and makes matter-of-fact reference to someone taking their own life. It's theoretically set in New Hampshire, but the beauty of Our Town is that it could be anywhere. And thanks to the stage directions specifying that sets and props should be kept to a bare minimum, it's a bargain to stage the show. Through the 20th century, it was a staple for high school productions, as well as being revived many times by major theater companies. But not in East Germany. Evidently, the Soviets once banned a planned performance in East Berlin because they deemed the play too depressing. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. One message of Our Town is how valuable ordinary life, ordinary experiences can be. It's powerful because, frankly, many of us need that reminder. We focus so much on what excitement we aren't having that we write off what we do have as humdrum. But on the other side of that, we also forget how many people right here in our own communities wish and hope for something ordinary because they're in situations where even that seems far away and unattainable. For the past few years, we have periodically been shaken to realize how many Tennessee children are in that situation. I'm talking about kids who, for one reason or another, are in the custody of the state. And more specifically, some kids who spend time without even the relative normalcy of care in some kind of family-style foster setting. The Tennessean published some shocking figures this week. Their analysis of state data showed a 400% increase in the number of children sleeping at least one night in a Department of Children's Services office. Now, this has been an ongoing problem. In 2021, the Tennessee Lookout published photos and videos of teens attempting to sleep amidst cubicles, some on mattresses that have been placed on the floor, others lying directly on the carpet, using their own arms in place of pillows. And from that point, the information started to flow, revealing that it had become common practice for younger kids, too, not just teens. If DCS couldn't place a child in the proper kind of care right away, the agency had them sleep in offices. And that was happening regularly. Officials pointed to a number of factors: a shortage of foster parents, too little money to provide other short-term accommodations, the number of caseworkers they could afford wasn't enough to handle the workload of finding placements. It can take time to find an opening for kids with very specific needs who couldn't be housed just anywhere. Except evidently an office is always fine. You know, years ago, we had a morning edition host who would sometimes sleep at the station if there was snow in the forecast. And she would talk about how weird it was to try to make that work, how hard it was to sleep in that setting. But Jacqueline was an adult making that decision for herself, knowing for sure that it was just for a night or two. And still, in that best case scenario, she did find it tough. Now imagine being a kid. Maybe you understand what it means for the state to take you from your home. Maybe you're too little for any of that to make sense. Now, the home you're being taken from may have been a pretty scary or abusive one, and the strangers who took you say they're going to keep you safe, but they're still strangers. Do you really know if you can trust them? These people aren't even giving you a real bed. They're making you sleep in an office. And they say it's just for a little bit, but can you believe that? When you wake up in the morning, they take you to school, but how are you supposed to concentrate when all you can think about is the uncertainty of it all? And what if, at the end of the school day, they bring you back to the office again and say you need to spend another night? Maybe tomorrow they'll have someplace better, but maybe they won't. I would find that kind of thing stressful and unsettling as an adult. As a kid, I would have been terrified. After ups and downs of trying to get the situation under control, after a leadership change at DCS in 2022 and an emergency investment in 2023 of more than $26 million to add capacity, it looked for a while like the corner had been turned. But last year, this problem spiked back up, and this newest data continues to break your heart in new ways. Through all of this, I'd been under the impression that we were generally talking about kids spending 1 or 2 nights that way. And that seemed pretty bad. But last year, the average time that children were in that kind of limbo was a week, a full week. One child spent more than 100 days living in a DCS office. What's more, it's become increasingly clear that this is a mix of kids. Some of the children are removed from dangerous situations for their own safety. Some are removed because they are deemed to be a danger. They're living in offices while waiting for a placement in a juvenile detention facility. Now, sleeping on an office floor is probably not the most conducive scenario for setting a troubled child on the path to rehabilitation. But that detail also raises all kinds of questions about whether those two populations are mixing in that setting. And that could be dangerous in its own way. Bottom line, more than 450 children had that experience last year. I talked a few minutes ago about the value of ordinary life. Well, kids sleeping in office cubicles for days at a time shouldn't be ordinary. But every time it happens, it becomes more and more normalized. In just a few minutes, the battle to preserve Tennessee's Civil War sites. That's coming up after the newscast.
Thematic Static on WNXP is the mixtape we make together, a themed set loosely organized by you, the listener, handpicking songs according to a theme. Airing first Thursdays at 9 a.m. and again Saturdays at 9 a.m., Thematic Static plucks your requests from the socials at WNXP Nashville and by voice memo at 615-320-9100. Thematic Static, the mixtape we make together, supported by United Record Pressing, only on WNXP.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. With a winter storm in Nashville's forecast this weekend, local services are preparing for potential heavy snowfall and icy roads. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency recommends residents start planning for the storm, gather food, and watch for weather updates. TEMA says while crews work to clear roads, residents should avoid driving unless necessary. Nashville has added 5 more snowplows, and NDOT is treating roads with salt and brine to reduce the impact of ice. Metro Social Services has activated its severe weather response, offering emergency meal delivery to homebound residents like seniors and disabled folks before the storm hits. The service will also increase its number of senior house calls and work with emergency services around the clock to help those affected by the storm. Once again, Nashville's Metro Council has rejected additional surveillance cameras. Over the last few years, this council has been hesitant to increase police surveillance, and Tuesday night was no different. Members rejected an agenda item that would have put money towards purchasing 15 new surveillance cameras downtown. The money is from a $15 million state grant that's currently in the hands of the Nashville Downtown Partnership. They're paired with Metro. The partnership disperses funds to the city, such as to get more surveillance cameras, and Metro Council must give their approval. Also approved last night were other uses for the grant. This includes money to buy an armored rescue vehicle, a tactical support post, and a mobile command center for the police department. The city will now have to figure out how to reallocate the money that would have gone to the cameras. The Downtown Partnership told a council member that the funds will likely be used for downtown ambassadors and homelessness outreach. A new Tennessee Performing Arts Center is coming to the new East Bank neighborhood. This week, Nashville's Metro Council approved on its third and final reading the deal to build a new performance center on Metro-owned land. That deal came together in November after more than a year of uncertainty. The terms of the agreement included the city contributing quite a bit more money to the project, namely $42 million more than what was initially anticipated. Those dollars are largely for infrastructure use. The state has also pledged $500 million to the new facility, and TPAC is working to raise $100 million in matching funds. It has until the end of the year to work out its funding commitments. Once that happens, construction must begin by July 2027, and under the terms of the deal, must be completed within 5 years. Well, as Metro Council planned to vote on a resolution this week to symbolically oppose the Boring Company's 10-mile tunnel project between downtown and the airport, the vote was postponed on the night of the meeting, but citizens still showed up to voice their opposition. WPLN's Caroline Eggers spoke with a former Tesla employee.
My name is Jack Slagle. I'm a resident of Nashville. This would be, as designed, the longest road tunnel in the Western Hemisphere. And it's kind of astonishing to me that everything has kind of been hand-waved. Even the environmental impact assessment they put out was lacking. The specific safety concern that I have is that the electric door handles can fail in the event that the car loses power. And combine that with the dangers of what happens when a lithium battery pack catches fire. I mean, that's very concerning to me personally. That's, as somebody who supports broadly the idea of electric transportation, who did enough to work for Tesla for 3 years. And I still support the idea of decarbonizing our transportation. I support the idea of innovative solutions. This just isn't it. I just want to say I want better for Nashville. If this is the transformative project that they say it is, I want to see the proof. I want to see how many cars this is going to take on the road. How exactly are they going to tunnel through the limestone? And if they can't do that, then I want a different solution. I want better.
Council plans to vote on the resolution next month. Currently, Nashville's charter says that the fairgrounds must include auto racing. But one group is trying to change that, and they want the Speedway to be converted into affordable housing. This community-led effort is still nascent. WPLN's Cynthia Abrams reports officials are taking up the matter this morning.
It's not easy to change the Metro charter. One way is to get a referendum on the ballot. But first, Metro's Charter Revision Commission must greenlight the proposal. Then, proponents could start gathering the required signatures from 10% of the county's voters. This question of what happens at the fairgrounds is one version of a tension across the city. Old Nashville versus new, and what belongs.
I think it should stay for the racing because that's entertainment for this area. We don't have anything else to do.
That's Middle Tennessee native Stephanie Barrera. She visited the fairgrounds during the Nashville Fair.
If they were to renovate the Speedway and put more housing in, I just don't see the need for it. We need more entertainment here for the locals.
On the other side of the spectrum, there's friends Abby and Layla. Abby, a musician, has lived here her whole life, while Layla is newer to the area.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear the argument for the Speedway.
Yes.
But I think that more housing is a good thing, considering housing is hard to find and expensive.
Yes. Agreed.
But almost anyone can acknowledge how much the city has changed. And Abby is wary.
It's definitely not the same city it was, even 5 years ago. The way I describe it to my friends is it's like a caricature of itself.
Even if the ballot measure passes the commission, it could be an uphill battle. It's likely to face a legal challenge from racetrack supporters. The measure also comes amid talk of a potential renovation of the Speedway for racing. However, no plan has been officially announced. Cynthia Abrams, WPLN News.
More than 100 families braved freezing temperatures to rally outside Tennessee's capital this week. WPLN's Camelia Burris was there and spoke to parents about how they want Tennessee lawmakers to invest in early childhood education.
We are smart. We are smart. We are kind. We are kind. We are ready. We are ready.
Organizers of the rally say they are not focused on any specific legislation, just affordable childcare as a whole. The cost of childcare is more expensive than tuition at the University of Tennessee. Kylie Graves is the policy director for the Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth. She says many families with young kids don't have the same financial aid options that are available for college.
There's grants, there's scholarships. Families spend 17 years planning, and we're asking similar families 17 years earlier to front up that same exact cost without the same systems in place to support them.
She says that those working in childcare deserve to be paid well, and the state should help with this. The state's support is critical right now, according to Kennedy Tuggle, a childcare advocate from Memphis. She says many families are struggling because of cuts to federal funding of nearly $45 million that helps cover the cost of childcare.
Parents are being placed on wait lists, so if you need child care, you aren't able to get that. The state can't afford it at this moment, and so I think we're wanting to continue to share that large concern.
Advocates are also pushing for paid family and paternal leave and mental health services for young kids. They say these investments will have long-term benefits for Tennessee's economy and workforce. Camelia Barris, WPLN News.
Nashville's food accolades continue. The city was rewarded with 3 semifinalist nominations in the prestigious James Beard Food Awards. The awards are often referred to as the Oscars of the food world. Catbird Seat and Patterson House earned a nod in the Outstanding Restaurant category. Germantown restaurant Taylor's chef Vivek Surti was tapped in the Outstanding Hospitality category. And chef Philip Krajek from Rolf & Daughters, Folk and Jr. was named a semifinalist for Best Chef Southeast. Restaurant and chef finalists for the James Beard Awards will be announced on March 31st. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. Tennessee is home to over 120 battlefields from the Civil War. Just a handful of these are kept and preserved by the state or federal government. Other sites are maintained by private enthusiasts. But as WUOT's Pierce Gentry reports, money is starting to dry up for a state program that helps buy up battlefield lands.
Today, the town of Franklin is almost unrecognizable. Where once stood fast food restaurants, strip malls, and heavy industrial sites, they are now rolling hills.
They've done such a good job preserving it, and I hope they're able to get more.
Every day, Melinda Madden goes walking with her husband, Patrick, across this open green space in the middle of town, past cannons, wagons, and interpretive signs. 160 years ago, the town was the site of one of the bloodiest battles in the American Civil War, where over 8,000 soldiers were killed fighting for control of Middle Tennessee. After decades of development, these lands have been reclaimed. The park is what drew the Maddens to retire here in the first place. Here's Patrick.
I was reading and I found out about the Battle of Franklin, and I said maybe I can have my own battlefield, which I have, and I've retired here, and that's been wonderful.
Clay Perry is the president of Franklin's Charge, a group of volunteers who work to buy up parcels on the Franklin battlefield to keep them from becoming the next subdivision.
Whether you're a Civil War enthusiast, Battle of Franklin enthusiast, or preservationist or not, you can still enjoy the great trails and walking trails and sights and sounds out there versus having another neighborhood.
The fight to preserve the site has been an uphill battle as land values skyrocket in the region. To help foot rising costs, the state awards millions in grants. Nina Skall is the sole employee of the Tennessee Wars Commission and oversees the funds.
So many people are moving here. We need affordable housing, but a lot of what's going to the wayside are these battlefields. And a lot of times we're not getting the opportunity to do archaeology prior to this development. So we're losing a lot of really important historical information, artifacts, and context.
Last year, the Wars Commission awarded about $2 million to help buy up dozens of acres of battlefield. The challenge? The available dollars depend on a tiny slice of tax revenues, and the state economy is slowing, so they have less and less money to work with.
So during COVID, we had a lot of people moving here. So that fund was ticking up. That has since slowed to a basic halt. And we're really, really low on funds.
That's bad news for smaller groups like the newly established Battle of Nashville Trust. Bobby Whitson, the trust's president, was outbid on one parcel in the suburbs of the city.
We literally met with them one evening. We're going to deliver the offer to them the next morning, and a developer came in after our meeting that night and sealed the deal.
And now, skinny 3-story homes are rising just a few feet from a cannon perched on the hillside. With the help of the Wars Commission, Whitson and his team managed to buy up about an acre of land near Shies Hill, the site of an important skirmish which he says turned the tide of the Civil War in the Union's favor. But parcels are few and far between.
My biggest thing is I hate for people to die the second death. The first death is when you die, but the second death is when you're forgotten. And that's the biggest thing that I personally am trying to help overcome here, is to make sure that these soldiers don't die that second death.
As the Tennessee Wars Commission's funds continue to dwindle, Governor Bill Lee made an emergency appropriation of $3 million. Skall says they'll spend all of it this year. After that,
who knows? If there's no money, I can't award grants.
In Nashville, I'm Pierce Gentry, WUOT News.
Pierce Gentry is a reporter for our partner station over in Knoxville, WUOT, but he recently spent a little time embedded in the WPLN newsroom to see how things operate here and to get to know our staff while reporting on things that affect both of our communities. I think we all gained a lot from that exchange, and I'm thankful to the listener support that helps keep public radio newsrooms that kind of cooperative space. You open the door for us to take the time to learn from each other and foster relationships. Ultimately, deepening those regional bonds helps all of our stations do a better job of seeing what's going on in our own backyards and think more creatively about the options there are for finding and sharing the stories that will make the most difference for you as a listener. As I always say, everything at WPLN News is listener supported, and you can make a donation at WPLN.org. And that's it for today for the Nash Villager podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.